We need to talk about Stellar Blade again. We have to talk about Stellar Blade again, guys. I know you don't want to because it's all dumb. It's all dumb, okay? Like I had a couple of Aspen like super fans that were basically trying to make it seem like I was attacking Aspen Gold, which is so stupid because I literally said the guy was allowed to have his opinion and it's all good. I don't hate him for it. I just don't understand it personally and I disagreed with it. That's all it was. But you're going to have that happen and I understand. This particular video is going to be about somebody or a company that everybody hates, which is Kotaku. But we're going to be talking about their article covering Shift Up's Stellar Blade. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me every single day, 9 p.m. over on the main channel, where you can catch me live every single day, 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see every single one of you there. Now back to the main video. Because again, I want to remind everybody, and I think people need this reminder, okay? These people tried to do this before. I said this in my last video with Stellar Blade Blood Rain, okay? They tried to do this with Stellar Blade. They tried to call Eve pedo bait. They tried to say that Eve's face was a young child's face. That's what they tried to say. And that you are basically a pedo if you enjoy looking at Eve or if you enjoy playing as Eve or anything like that. They tried to do this. All the journalists tried to do this before. And since it failed with Eve, because obviously Shift Up CEO came out, showcased his wife because they tried to claim that he never saw a woman before. Come to find out, his wife is hot. Not only that, his wife actually worked and designed Eve, which makes it even hilarious, like even more hilarious. But anyway, so now we have another situation where they're trying to do it again because Shift Up's CEO has admitted that he is trying to make the character look a little bit younger and smaller, not underage. I want to make sure I explicitly state that because these disingenuous people out there are trying to say that by him saying he tries to make the character look a little bit younger and smaller, that means that he's trying to make her look underage. That's not what he said, and you're misrepresenting what he said to fit your little bullshit narrative that you're trying to push out there. Anyway, so then Kotaku writes an article and says the following. Shift Up CEO brushes off complaints that Stellar Blade Blood Rain's protagonist looks too young. Again, I want to remind people, please, I want to remind people, too young for what? Too young for what? Nobody seems to be able to answer that question without exposing themselves for thinking a certain way. Too young for what? What is she too young for? Are you trying to fuck her? Can you fuck her? Is she in your room right now? Is the FBI about to knock down the door? Did you accidentally buy her liquor without checking her ID first? Like, what is happening? What is happening that you are saying she is too young? What is she too young for? Because last I checked, we're just trying to play a video game with an android that is using her pugilist fist to fuck up Natiba. That's what I last checked. I don't know about what you guys are saying she's too young for. But last I checked, that was okay in video games. Again, I brought up the example before, and I'll bring it up again in this video because I feel like it, it applies. I remember way back in the day, one of my favorite video games of all time on PlayStation 1 was Heart of Darkness. And if you guys played Heart of Darkness, you would know exactly what I'm saying. It was a Disney-fied, Pixar-style video game that had literal Disney-style graphics of a little boy, like a literal little boy who is trying to save his dog and from an alien race or whatever, or from the evil shadows or whatever. And he goes into the adventure, and this character, this little boy, can literally be killed in some of the most gruesome ways. It is unbelievable. It is I can't even believe to this day that game exists. This kid will be ripped apart. This kid will be set on fire, literally incinerated. You would have these weird spider creatures grab him and drag him into the wall, into a bloody mess. Like, and this is like an 8-year-old boy or something, or like a 10-year-old boy. Okay? So again, I just want to reiterate, when they said the protagonist looks too young, my question is and always will be, too young for what? Because from what I understand and what I'm trying to say is that we're just trying to play a game. This is not a hentai game. This is not a sex game, a gooner game, anything like that. This is an action video game where you fuck shit up with your fists and your blades. So, and she's a robot. Like, what exactly are we doing here? But anyway, we all know what they're trying to say. I'm just countering it with something like a question that they can't seem to answer. And then they'll be like, well, she has a skin suit on. And again, I want to reiterate, for the towards journalists, you mean the skin suit that the Mothersphere makes these androids wear because the skin suit allows them to be the fastest that they can be and perform their actions the best because it is a self-retracting and expanding suit that the Mothersphere designed specifically for them so that they can perform their actions at top tier capacity? What do you want to put her in? Heavy fucking armor? Jesus Christ. Anyway, so protagonist looks too young while promising even more appealing outfits. Yeah, appealing. Appealing doesn't mean revealing, you dumb motherfuckers. Do you know what the word appealing means? What if they want to put her in some badass fucking spiky armor or some shit? You don't know. Appealing doesn't mean revealing, but of course the journalists, they think of appealing, it's like, oh, it's got to be revealing. It's got to be revealing. Why? Because Eve had all that ass out in one or two outfits. She also had other outfits that put her in full armor. Anyway, the CEO, Hung Tae Kim, stated that while Evie is younger and smaller in size, again, that doesn't mean underage. You guys got to be some of the most sexist people to petite women I've ever seen. It's insane. I wonder if you go up to petite women in real life and call them children. And I mean like in a serious manner, not in a joking manner. You know, like we've all made fun of short women before, right? Like if you ever seen like a woman who's like 4'9" or whatever, you'd be like, ha, look at this little fuck, you know? But other than that, it's just a joke. Like these people would go up to them seriously and be like, ew, you're like a child. Can you imagine going up to them and be like, ew, you're a child. You're a literal child. Your boyfriend should be ashamed of himself for being with you because you're a child. Can you imagine them actually going up to these women and talking like that? You know they don't. They're not going to. I'm just telling you, can you imagine if they did? Because that's how they're acting. Anyway, so the outfits in the sequel will be even more appealing for fans. Again, that could mean a lot. So let's see exactly what good old Kotaku has to say. So Blood Rain set off a few alarm bells, ringing that it was revealed during the Summer Games Fest. And I'm not just talking about all the suspicions surrounding its alleged use of Gen AI. This was also one of the video games that they supposedly attacked for generative AI. They're like, they really want you to care. They really want you to care. They're like, please care about this game using generative AI to make Chinese text. Please care. Nobody cares. Literally nobody cares. And that's what makes them so upset. In fact, anyone can seemingly talk about is the childlike appearance. Again, oh my God, brother. Childlike appearance. Okay. All right. Blood Rain's new protagonist, Evie, the CEO of its developer ShiftUp, has recently brushed off these complaints in an interview in which he states that the physical looks of Evie are secondary to how much of a lovable character she is. Because it's an android, it's not real, and they want the character to be more, I guess, interesting in a way, where Eve was like the bombshell character, the badass, bombshell. Evie is going to take a more subtle approach in that manner, something that's going to be underestimated because she is smaller, right? So this is kind of like the same reason why when I play MMORPGs, especially ones that have PvP, I always play the short race. Like in World of Warcraft, I played the gnome. Why? Because nobody wants to get fucking destroyed in PvP by a goddamn gnome mage, but you know what? They did. They got wrecked by a frost gnome mage. Nobody can fucking touch me. It was hilarious, and it was just funny, right? It was funny. Same thing in Final Fantasy XIV. I played a Lalafell. Final Fantasy XI, I played a Taru. You know what I'm saying? Like, I played these small characters because people underestimate them, and it's absolutely hilarious when you see them do their actions. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, these people don't actually play video games. I know that gets said a lot, I know that's like a thing that people say a lot on the internet, but I actually genuinely believe that they really don't play video games like that. They want to be talking about politics. They want to be talking about politics. They want to work for like CNN. They want to do stuff like that, but they don't have the credentials or the ability to actually do that. So they drag that shit into their video game writing in the hopes to make like political pieces. They call them pieces, you know? Anyway, Shift Up CEO Hung Tae Kim, who also directed the original Stellar Blade, recently sat down with IGN to talk about all things Stellar Blade Blood Rain. And naturally, the topic of Stellar Blade's protagonist, Evie, and the internet's reaction to the youthful appearance of the sequel's new protagonist popped up in the conversation, but Kim shrugged it off, and the complaints have stated that fans won't feel the same way once they actually play the game. Of course they won't, because the character's not a child. The character's not a child. The character is not underage in any manner. And even, again, I want to remind people, this is when the conversation gets weird, right? Even if the character was underage, okay? She is underage for what? So you can't play as younger characters anymore? You can't play as, like, that's not allowed anymore? What are you trying to do with the character where her age has to be brought into question? That's really what I'm trying to understand. Because you don't ever want to answer that question. Because the moment you do, it's going to be highly suspicious. So what are we trying to do here? I just want to play the game and punch things. What are you trying to do? Anyway. Yes, she is younger. She's smaller in size. She's shorter than Eve, Kim replied, but she has a stronger personality and engages in much tougher battles. And she's actually part of a special squad that chases after a group of terrorists who cause terror attacks here and there in the city. I think that sounds cool. Last I checked, they weren't hiring underage kids for terrorist squads. Last I checked. If you actually play the game, you would not think that. I like that he said that to IGN, knowing that they're most likely not going to actually play the game. See, here's the thing. A lot of IGN journalists, or what a lot of journalists do in general, at least from my understanding, is that they'll play the game for a little bit, and then they'll watch YouTube videos going over the game, right? They'll watch YouTube videos from people that actually played the game, summarize their opinions about it, and then put out something over it. You know, very few of them actually play through the whole game. They try to gaslight you and say that they have to complete the game in order to be able to write a review for it. That's according to IGN's policy. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that every single IGN journalist plays through the entire video game that they are reviewing before they actually put out their review. Now, unless it's a movie kind of video game like Mixtape, then yeah, of course. Of course, that's easy. But otherwise, I don't think that they do that. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Regardless, it doesn't matter because a lot of them have gotten caught either flat out just misrepresented the game or lying about the game. They did it with Black Myth Wukong. They said there was no female representation in the game. There's literally sisters in the game, and like the end of the second chapter, you see the Spider Sisters. Like, anyway, it's so fucking stupid. But this time, Evie, not just her physical looks, but her personality, the way she talks, the way she engages in battles, all that will combine together, and you'll see that she's a very lovable character. I've reread these comments several times, and it just comes across as evasive nonsense to me. How? How is it evasive nonsense? Kim's response doesn't really address Evie's appearance. He addressed it. He literally addressed it. Yes, she is younger. She's smaller in size. She's shorter than Eve. What do you want him to say? I know what you want him to say. He's not going to say it because it's not true. It's not. What do you mean he didn't? Like, how is this evasive? He literally covered everything. Kim's response doesn't really address the appearance nor her overly sexualized poses in the trailer. What overly sexualized poses? You mean the one where the camera goes under her just like it did in Stellar Blade? Because it was a fast-moving dynamic camera angle to showcase her launching off of the actual platform and jumping off over the banister? You mean that one? You mean the kind of pose has been in anime for like, I don't know, decades? The kind of things that we've seen in anime for like literally decades? You mean that? Again, the character has been proven to not be underage unless you think there is an underage android, which is an oxymoron, by the way, but I'm going to let you rock. An underage android working for an anti-terrorist organization. Just say that you want them to admit something that's not true so that you can run with the story and be justified in your accusations. That's all you got to say. Just be honest about it. Just be honest about it. But you don't want to be honest about it because you know that your accusations are full of shit. You know that they're meritless. And it also brings up a whole nother conversation about Asian people in general, which we had in the last video. and how a lot of people just don't want to admit they're biased against Asian people and how they look so much younger compared to Westerners. I truly believe it's because of their diet and their skincare routine, but you could think whatever you want. At the end of the day, Asian people look naturally younger, both men and women. A lot of people focus on the women because they look so young at older ages, but they tend to forget the men look younger too. Have you seen some of these K-pop singers and stars and shit? Have you seen how young they look? It's crazy. Anyway, so Kim did, however, talk about the new outfits that will be available for Eevee and Stellar Blade. It will be even more appealing. That's all we can say. Good Lord, I hope more appealing doesn't mean what I think it means in its context. It doesn't. You're the only one thinking that. And again, I want to remind people, most of the outfits that were in Stellar Blade weren't even super slutty outfits. Probably about 10% of them at most were super slutty. The rest were like fully covered up, armored, you know, different color variations, styles, and everything like that. Especially if you did like the Nikkei, what do you call it? The fucking extra content that they did in collaboration with Nikkei. The gear looked really cool from that. I had like this super crazy spiky waist armor that I was rocking. They think everything is a skin suit. That's the problem. They think everything is a skin suit. And that's because they themselves, when they do actually play this game, they play it with those outfits, but they don't want anybody to know that. That's really what it is. They just don't want to admit that they're attracted to the character. They don't want to admit that the character got them erect, right? And now they're trying to essentially deflect and blame everybody else for the reason why they got attracted to the character. It's like, brother, relax. You're fine. You're fine. You're getting really weird about it. But anyway, so then it says that what I think it means, the jiggle physics present in the reveal trailer were disturbing enough. It was disturbing. The jiggle physics in the second game, they were also available in the first game, are apparently disturbing. So now we're disturbed by the natural movement of a woman's body. We're disturbed, boys. That's what we are. We are disturbed about it. That's crazy. Again, this is all fake moral policing. These are people that I guarantee you, goon so goddamn hard that they try to pass it off to other people because they themselves want to seem to be, I don't know, morally just or something like that. It really is ridiculous. I find comedy in how often you have these people melting down over Eastern video games because it's always the same thing. It's always the same thing. It's always, you're a gooner, and if that doesn't work, then it's gooner bait. If that doesn't work, then it's pedo bait. And if that doesn't work, then you're just actually a pedo. It's always the same thing. How do I know this? Because again, like I said in the beginning of the segment, they did this with Eve. They tried to call Eve's face pedo bait, bro. What are we doing? Anyway, so at the end of the day, these people don't actually like these games. They don't care about these games. I would guarantee you they're probably going to score this less than they did Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade, they had to score at least decently because at the end of the day, it was actually a pretty fun video game. It had its shortcomings, of course. It definitely had its shortcomings, but overall, the game was solid, and I really want to see more. I want to see more of the game. I wish I was getting more Eve. I'm still not completely over that. Personally, again, I understand from a lore perspective why this is happening. I get that. But I do wish that we were getting more Eve. Hopefully we do, or maybe she's involved in some way, somehow. But whatever, regardless. This whole thing is a complete fucking nothing burger. And they just don't want to admit that because they themselves see the character this way, that they basically want everybody else to also acknowledge that they see the character this way. If you are looking at Eve in this manner, or Eevee, I'm sorry, in this manner, that's on you. That's on you. Right? I won't judge you for it or whatever. Like, that's on you. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what other people like look at I don't care what other people look at the character as. That's on you. Most normal people are looking at this game wanting to punch things with a pugilist style character. I think that's very interesting. Also, the world setting was pretty interesting too, and I want to know who the other guy is that looks like Adam. But anyway, that's what I'm more curious about. But yeah, Full Metal says there will be more revealing outfits, so these assholes would better get over it. There definitely is going to be revealing outfits, or at least like pretty sexy outfits. But again, that's going to be like 5 to 10% of the outfits. 90% of them are going to be armored, just like in the original game. But you'll have people that'll just focus on that, all because the character's attractive. If the character, I'm telling you right now, and I'll end it with this. If the character was ugly, right? And I know they're not going to want to admit this, but you know it's true. If the character was fucking ugly, if it was some, like, I don't know, fat bitch or something. If the character was ugly, this pedal bait conversation would not even be happening. Even if the character had the same young Asian face, if it was some ugly fat bitch, this conversation about pedal bait would not be happening. The only reason why, like, she could still be short, she could still have a young looking face, but if she was fat, nobody would be having this conversation about pedal bait. It's only because she has a younger face, right? Her skin looks good and everything. She has a petite body. That's the big one. That's the big one. She has a petite body, and she's shorter. It's really about the petite body. It's the combination of the three. But once you throw in the petite body, that is it. That is it. Forget about it. Like, it's immediately pedal bait because it's not some fucking ugly fat bitch. So I don't know if you want to blame self-consciousness. I don't know if you want to blame whatever. All I know is this is the most disingenuous conversation I've ever seen around a video game up until the last Stellar Blade, which was also a super disingenuous conversation. And at the end of the day, the game sold fantastically. This next one is probably going to sell even better, especially since I believe it's releasing on PC day one. It's going to sell like fucking hotcakes. Stellar Blade, the first one, sold better on PC than it ever did on PS5, and that was after a year of it already being out on PS5. What do you think is going to happen with the second one? And they're going to be screaming nonstop, pedo, pedo, pedo. If you play this game, you're a pedo. Same thing with Pragmata. That didn't stop Pragmata. And Pragmata had an actual child character. It's like, brother, we're just trying to play a video game with an android who can hack shit. Who can hack shit with the fucking Chad character who's running around shooting shit. Why can't it be that simple? Why do you have to get weird about it? I don't know. She has the average body by Japanese standards. I know that, but these people don't like Japanese standards. Oh man, Cad, that's the thing. They don't like Japanese standards. Japanese standards are unrealistic for them. Korean standards are unrealistic for them. For Western people, Western journalists, or Western women, or whatever, for them, it is unrealistic. They consider it to be an unrealistic body type, unrealistic beauty standards. That's what they consider. Even though it is absolutely happening in the East, they don't like it. So they want to talk shit about it. They want to downplay it. And they'll pretend like they totally, like, it's not that they hate Asians. They'll pretend like that's not what it's about. But let's be real. You guys absolutely do. We've seen how a lot of the mainstream gaming media treats Asian developers and the way that they speak about Asian developers. We have multiple videos showcasing conferences when you guys shit on Eastern developers and you think you're so high and mighty. You think you're so above it all. But now it's not quite like that anymore. And you just don't like that. You don't like it. It is what it is. So anyway, that's basically it for the Stellar Blade conversation. We have yet another interesting conversation surrounding Eevee, and again, I'm more focused on where the story's going, where the actual combat's going, how they're going to expand upon that. That's what I'm more curious about. Anything else, all this extra shit, it's literally just dumbassery. I don't even know if that's a word.